following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
This is Adam Bomb, the creation of devastation, and you're watching the Insider's Edge podcast, taking you to ground zero.
Hi, everybody. This is former WWE Superstar Al Snow.
CW Anderson.
Sean Oliver.
My name is Eugene.
And you are watching the Insider's Edge podcast.
Now get on the
Train.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network in conjunction with Blue Wire Hustle. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia Infirri. Great to be with you all once again. And here today, I'm talking to a real life superhero. That's what I thought when I was a kid, and that's what I think today. This man has had quite the journey in his wrestling career, from the AWA through Smoky Mountain, through the WWF, WCW, and All Japan Pro Wrestling. He is former WCW Tag Team Champion, member of Kronik. He's also been known as Adam Bomb and Wrath. He is the one and only Bryan Clark. How are you, my friend?
Hey, brother, I'm doing great. Thank you for the excellent intro. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome, my friend, and very excited to have you on the show. I've been harassing you for a good year now.
Hey, man. And I apologize that I've had so much stuff going on, which I'll tell you about. But it's great, man. I love Australia. I had a great time there, and hey, man, excited to do your show.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, and persistence pays off. I got you on the show. I'm pumped. Such a big fan back in the day. I don't mean to blow smoke up your ass right off the get-go, but gotta say it. It's look at this right here. Oh. Right here, bro.
Man.
Right here.
Awesome.
It's in play. Awesome. This hasn't been touched by a human finger since it went into the plastic wrapping. But anyway, look.
I'll hook you up.
Anyway, Bryan, first question I always ask everyone on the show is, how did you become a wrestling fan when you were a young man?
Of course, it was on television, and it was more like regional. You know what I mean? I'm from Florida, and so I got to watch a lot of Florida Championship Wrestling. My stepfather was really into it, and so I would watch it with him. And then the matches would come to my hometown occasionally, and when they did, this sounds funny, but my grandmother would go, man, and she would have ringside seats, and so, my family would sit in the stands, but I would sneak down and stand beside her, and I'd get that ringside view, And so I was probably hooked at a very young age, but I also had other athletic aspirations, but that definitely had something to do with it.
Absolutely, and I can completely imagine that you would have a lot of athletic aspirations, considering you're, 6'7", 6'8"?
About 6'6.5". Yeah.
I mean, you're a big guy. I mean, what sports were you to? Basketball, football.
You know what? This will sound crazy. I worked a lot I started working when I was 13. I was going to school and high school, finished high school, but I worked during those years, so I didn't play high school sports. I joined the military right out of high school. Yeah, and I was in combat training, military police, did that. And then from there, check this out. Now, while I was still in the Air Force, my last assignment was in Missouri, and I walked on at Central Missouri State. Now, to back up just a little bit, all through the Air Force and all through my younger years and teenage years and stuff, my stepfather was heavy weight training, and I was always weight training. And then I got into powerlifting in the air. I got in the Air Force powerlifting team. And that led to me, when I finished up my Air Force commitment, that led to me walking on at Central Missouri State. And I got a full scholarship. And I started as a freshman.
Wow.
And I never played high school football.
That's incredibly tough. That is incredibly tough.
Hey, brother, I was a steamroller, man. They couldn't stop me. And I was pretty damn powerful, I have to say.
I can imagine. I wouldn't want to be on the other receiving end of any of that. That's for sure. Okay, you're playing a bit of football. At what point in your life do you think to yourself, you know what, I want to try my hand getting into the wrestling business?
Well, it was always in the back of my mind. It never left. It never left my back of my mind of, I wanted to join the military because my family is all military. My whole family, my father, my stepfather, my grandfather, both of my nephews, special forces, myself, I served, my uncle, senior master sergeant, 26 years. So the entire family military. I knew I was going to try it no matter what. I just didn't know when. And while I was at Central Missouri State playing football, a friend of mine says he knows Ox Baker, and I don't know if you're familiar with Ox Baker, that name, but I was like, "You got to be kidding me! Where?" And he's like, "Oh, he lives like in the next town over." I said, "You got to get me a meeting. I got to meet this guy, And so he finally hooked up a meeting with me and Ox. And but Ox was probably thinking, "Oh, here comes this 5'0" nothing, 150-pound kid." But I walked through the living room, into the living room, and I'm 6'6", 320, and he's like, "Oh my God, big man!" He that big booming voice, he freaked out. He was like, "Oh, we're gonna have you traveling. You're going on the road," and I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, "Man, I love you. That's great. That's what I want to do, but I got to get trained, man." And Ox really, bless his heart, Ox was a talker and a brawler, not a worker. And so he got me to do a couple little things in AWA. AWA was about to fold their doors and close shop anyway, but I did a couple little things there. And then when I finished college, I moved to Atlanta to be trained. So that's where I really was trained. I just got just a taste of what the business was like from Ox.
Right. So, I mean, that must have been interesting in the AWA. You're known as the Night Stalker. And you hadn't, as you say, you hadn't had your proper training yet. So that must have been an interesting experience. How did, the other guys, feel working with you at the time? And, how did you adjust to this, new experience?
There wasn't a whole lot of work. I might have had maybe a match or two. And I was like a fish out of water as far as being green and not knowing everything, and Ox really not helping me. Not because he didn't want to, but just he didn't really know how to. I don't think.
Okay.
And I knew myself that I was like, this is great. I got to meet him and get introduced into the business, but I need to get trained. So yeah, that part was. I just felt out of place. Okay. I knew that I needed to learn how to work.
Cool. So you go to Atlanta, I assume. I assume is it the power plant that you go through?
Well, when I went there, there was no power plant. It was an old carpet warehouse.
Right.
It was just a hole in the wall, man. It was brutal, hot, cold, whatever. And I got suplexed out of my boots for like a year, at least, maybe two. And I was working the outlaw shows, the independents, and slowly getting my feet wet and learning how to work. And I had Dwayne Bruce and Jody Hamilton training me and helping me. And so I would work on all those independents and stuff. And, just learning my craft. Just trying to get better with every match.
Yeah. And we've had a few people on the show that were trained by Sergeant Butterly Parker, and there's always a story or two about Sarge. Was there a time when you feel like Sarge, you got Sarge's blessing? He's really tough, but there's got to be a point where you've proved yourself to him.
Oh yeah, man. We were super close friends. Man, yeah, he loved me, and I same way. I loved him the same way, man. We became very close. But he knew, like you said, I was there from like day one, back when there was no such thing as a power plant. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I gained his respect through my hard work and my work ethic, and me staying in shape year round, working every place I could. And finally, I actually had an independent match against Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff.
Right.
And that's what got me into Smoky Mountain, was working with Paul.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to, because through my research, I found this interesting little bit. You popped in to the UWF, which was run by Herb Abrams.
Right.
I don't know. I saw the Dark Side of the Ring episode about him. He sounded like a very interesting man. Tell me a little bit about that experience there, and if you have any stories of interacting with Herb.
I don't really remember interacting with him. If we did, it was nothing negative. I think he was very positive. I remember the commentary of a match or two I had that put me over really strong. And they were just trying to get starting, you know. And I think the show was in South Carolina that I did for him. It was a TV taping, and Paul may have even got me on that. I can't remember. But yeah, they were very nice. Everything was fine. I mean, it seemed that way. And I didn't know what their intentions were as far as trying to go global or even just within the U.S. But obviously it didn't work. But yeah, I actually got, you know, I think my best bet was I had worked, like I said, one or two shows with Herb, but getting into Paul, putting in a word to Jim Cornette, and Jim Cornette saying, "Okay, bring him up. I want to see him." And as soon as he did, and he put me in a couple of matches, he decided to keep me, which was great.
Yeah, awesome, man. So please tell me what it was like, working for Jim Cornette. He's a very interesting man, very passionate man, obviously. Do you find yourself through your Smoky Mountain experience really start to get it and feel like, you know, you're ready to keep moving forward and get to bigger heights?
Absolutely, yeah. Because Smoky Mountain had a weekly television show, and it aired in that region. It was in the, I don't know what you call it, a little bit of the Mid-Atlantic, but also Georgia, the Carolinas, Kentucky, Virginia, all that area. But yeah, it was a weekly show, and I had such the locker room was so full of legends that I learned so much, and I traveled with Paul. So being on the road with Paul, I could absorb as much as I possibly could from him, and he's been there, done it all, you know. And they put me with Kevin Sullivan as my manager, so I learned even more.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the locker room's full of the Rock and Roll Express, Tim Horner. The list goes on and on. Tracy Smothers, just a lot of great people to learn from, you know, and to learn to work, not just you know. And my thing was, I never just wanted to be a foot soldier. That bothered me. I didn't like to. Even as big as I was, I didn't want to just be one of those guys that had two moves, a big boot and an elbow. I wanted to do it all, fly from the top. And so I did, man. I started flying at Smoky Mountain even before that, but flying off the top, flip off the apron, over the dives, over the top, all that stuff. I wanted to separate myself, you know.
Yeah, you certainly did. You're ahead of your time as far as a big man in wrestling is concerned, especially at this time. And we've had a few people on the show before that went through Smoky Mountain, and it's always the same. It's always Rock and Roll Express, Tracy Smothers, Tim Horner, all these guys really helped along the way. So that sounds like a great experience that you had there. And obviously it must get to a point where maybe the World Wrestling Federation is taking notice of this, or how did that come about, the opportunity to go from Smoky Mountain to the WWF?
I think that they probably, even back then, they had scouts that were watching different type of territories in different areas and stuff. So they must have had an eye on Smoky Mountain for sure. And they must have contacted Jim Cornette, and then Sergeant Slaughter, who was one of their agents, called me and said, "Hey, we've been watching you. We've heard about you. We want to take a look at you." And so they called me up for a TV tryout, and it was in it was the dark match, of course, but it was in the Carolinas. And so I went up. They wanted me for 2 days, and I had the first match the first night, and they hired me the first night.
Oh, brilliant.
But I still worked the second night anyway, just to let them see me again. But yeah, they hired me the very first night.
Excellent. So you get hired by, the biggest wrestling company in the world. You must be so excited. When do you find out that this is the character they want to do? They want you to be Atom Bomb.
Well, that's just it. See, I was thinking, man, this is it. This is the biggest company in the world, but we'll get to that later. But they said, just finish out your commitments that you have. We're going to come up with some ideas for you, and we'll send you some stuff and the contract and that kind of thing. So it was probably 2 or 3 months that they've been working on some stuff, and they finally sent me 2 ideas. And I've told this story before, and some people they want to doubt it a little bit. And I just like, look, man, back in 93, they trademarked everything they possibly could. And they even trademarked both of these names. And I was like, if you don't believe me, I just said, go check with the trademark commission, because I'm not going to argue about it. But they offered me Atom Bomb, and the other one was the Ringmaster. Those are the 2, man. And it's 100% fact. And I looked at them both. I looked at both the drawings and everything. And I said, man, I think I can do a lot more with Atom Bomb than I can with the Ringmaster. So I chose Atom Bomb.
Yeah, but I think you made the right decision there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hands down, it's so colorful. I added a lot to it. I suggested the glowing contact lenses, the red tongue. I added a lot to it, but the actual original creator of it was Tom Fleming. He actually now works for Marvel Comics. He's a phenomenal painter, illustrator. He did a lot of Undertaker stuff. He did Razor Ramon's outfit. He drew that out. He did the 1, 2, 3 Kid. Just a lot of different guys, but Tom is phenomenal. But he was the one who actually created Atom Bomb.
Right, that's awesome.
Yeah, and some more stuff I want to mention about him when we get down to the other aspects of what I'm doing now. I'll make sure we bring him.
Awesome.
Back up.
Yep, excellent. I'll make a note of it.
All right.
Tom Fleming. Okay, so I in my research I find the debut as Atom Bomb is the 4th of the 5th, 1993 in Worcester, Massachusetts against Bert Centeno on WWF Superstars. Just wanted to throw that one out there.
I remember it.
Yeah. So how did you feel first night out in this new character?
I liked it. I felt good in it. I could tell the fans were really scared of it, the music. Yeah, man. And I was in great shape, and as big as I was, and my opponent Bert was not a big guy. So, man, I was just throwing him around everywhere. So yeah, it went over well. Brilliant,
bro. So a man that we all know now as Raven at one point is known as Johnny Polar. He's your manager initially when you I think you debut on Raw not too long afterward. What was it like working with Scotty back then? He certainly is a character, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was fine. I had him, and then I had Harvey Whippleman. But I still felt, and I still feel, I just don't think either one of those characters went with Atom Bomb. I just couldn't figure out why they put me with both of those guys, because it just didn't fit. Nothing against either one of them. It's just that it's your manager really has to fit with the guy that he's with. And Polo was a rich kid, and Harvey was just like a little runt in a suit. But like I said, both really good guys. But the deal was that it just wasn't a good fit, I didn't think.
Yeah, now that you're saying that, like, I'm thinking to myself, why does Atom Bomb need a manager? I
just think I could have done without it.
Why would anyone want to be anywhere near him? Because he's obviously been near a nuclear accident. Why would you want to be in close proximity with this guy for such a long time?
Social distance, brother.
You go on a big winning streak. 22 matches out of the gate, 15 on TV are victories. Before I lost to Bob Backlund on the 13th of the 8th in Wildwood, New Jersey at a house show. So right out the gate, they're giving you a nice little push there. How are you feeling? You're feeling confident. Obviously, maybe you don't feel like you need the manager, but this must be pretty, exciting for you at this stage.
Yes. Yeah, I felt good about it. I felt good about it all the way up, all the way to Survivor Series, I think. And then maybe a little beyond that. I felt things were going pretty well.
So also in my research, I found that you work with the Undertaker quite a lot. And I was wondering if they were looking at setting up a program between the two of you that would make it to TV and onto pay-per-view, because my research says that you guys worked 25 times in the first year on house shows, 13 of them being casket matches, even working in Israel, Portugal, and Germany. So, it looks like they're building up to bringing this match to television and pay-per-view. Do you have any recollection of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember being in all those casket matches and all those, every city you just named so many times. I felt like I lived in Europe the first year or so. But what happened was, I don't know if you remember or not, but WWF had a deal with Coliseum Video. So what they would do is they put a lot of those matches, like with me, like as much as I worked with Bret Hart, they put me a big match against me and Bret Hart, a big match against me and Undertaker. So they were selling Coliseum Video almost like they were selling a pay-per-view kind of thing.
Right.
So that's what happened to a lot of those matches.
Okay, so they are out there.
Yeah.
So
well, they were. They used to be. I don't know now.
So there wasn't any plans for an Atom Bomb Undertaker program to go to a SummerSlam or something like that? You never heard anything about?
I never heard anything. I mean, we had good matches. I mean, because he surely would have complained if we weren't, because he, that's just him. He'll say something. But yeah, I mean, I was working my ass off, I felt. And his character was slow, methodical. Man, I was zooming everywhere, So yeah, that was just, they never really mentioned going in that direction. So
fair enough. And it's interesting to think that, later on in time, Undertaker would be working the same style that you were working back then. Obviously the character he had then was, had to be that way, but later on he became another big man that was quite, athletic, that, came off the top rope and everything. Okay, one question. I want to ask you, who was your favorite enhancement guy to work with? Because you had a lot of victories against a lot of local guys, or as people call them, jobbers. Is there a particular guy that was your favorite?
Wow. That's a tough one, man. Because when you go do TVs, you're in certain areas of the country, and they bring in guys that are close by, at least back then. Wow, you got me on that one.
I didn't mean to stump you there.
No, I'm trying to think of who I would say. Someone
like a Dwayne Gill or a.
No, not Dwayne. I would say more like you remember PJ Polacco. He later became
Just Incredible.
Montoya.
Yeah.
Just Incredible. Yeah. Well, see, now he came in as an enhancement guy, and I worked him a few times, and those were really good and easy. But I'm sure there were plenty more. Reno Riggins was one, and I know there were a few more, but I just can't. Air Paris. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yeah,
he was great down in WCW. I love working with him, man. We could do everything. But those are just some of the names that if I sit and think about, but there are a lot of guys that really helped me, and I thank them all.
Excellent, bro. I just think it's important to bring up these guys in interviews because without them, I think they're just as important as anyone else, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Especially it helps that they have the more experience they have under their belt. It helps us even more because we know that they're not working a full-time schedule, but we are. and we had a brutal schedule. I'll tell you that story too, man. But
well, yeah, that's what actually where I was going to next.
Okay.
The travel schedule, 300 days a year. Sometimes you're working 30 days straight or something like that, and you're working twice on Sundays. Tell me a little bit about the struggles of how crazy it was back then with the travel.
It was, I called it a meat grinder because that's what it was to me. It seemed like I think the most I did days in a row was either 26 or 27 days in a row. I did 10 trips to Europe in 1 year, where I would go do a 10 or 12 day, 15-day loop, come back for a couple of days, do a loop in the States, then back to Europe again for another loop, a couple of days off, back to the States. So it was back and forth. And then in between that, you would have interviews in Stanford. You would have personal appearances, and whatever else they had lined up for you. It was just like, and injuries. If you got hurt, man, too bad. I mean, it just seemed that way. We didn't have EMTs or any medical staff backstage back in those days. And so it was tough, man. And anybody who was there, they'll tell you the same thing. It was a very grinding schedule. It was sometimes it was like a blur, honestly.
Yeah. Must be really hard at as a young man to have just a relationship, have a girlfriend.
Well, I was married and it didn't last, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, everything happens for a reason, but yeah, that didn't last. Just because I think that we just grew apart. You're not there, you're not there. And that happened to a lot of guys. I was not the only one.
Absolutely. It'd be hard to keep that connection with your partner, but when you're not around each other, only like 3 days a month if you're lucky. Yeah. So was there a point where you felt like things weren't working out, or obviously in mid to late 95 is when you exit the WWF, but was there a point in time where you're like not enjoying yourself anymore?
Yeah, it got to be I've said this before, and I've got some witnesses to it, and I don't want this to come off sounding bitter, or because I'm really not bitter about it, but it's just the fact that I don't like to be lied to. And they had told me right before King of the Ring, at an in your house pay-per-view, they had me put Mabel over. I think that was 95. And I said, sure, no problem. That's my job. That's why I'm here. That's what, if he says it's business, and so I put him over, no problem. But then they pulled me aside, and it was Jerry Briscoe, Pat Patterson, Mabel, Oscar, and Mo, and probably a couple other guys were sitting there, and they said, well, all right, Mabel, we're going to put the King of the Ring, make you the King of the Ring. And then Bomb, when we're done with this, we're putting the IC strap on you, and we're going to run this direction with you. And I thought, well, that's great. I mean, that's really sort of what I needed, to get, I didn't have to have it, but my thing was just like, don't tell me, why don't you just say, we need you to put him over, and then that's it. I've been fine. I was already I was going to put him over no matter what, but don't tell me that you're going to put this strap on me and run with me this way, and then never follow through on anything except all I did was keep going down the card. So why lie to me about it? So that didn't sit very well with me. Also the fact that Vince was going through a steroid trial at the time. And as earlier we stated, I'm working in the biggest company in the world. I should be making some pretty good money. I'm doing video games. I got action figures, merchandise that I designed. That's another story I'll tell you. But so I get home, I'm busting my ass. I get home and my checks are horrible. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Is this a joke? They were that bad. Some of them are embarrassed to take to the bank, man. I was just like, it was bad, man. It was really bad. The money was horrible.
Right.
And we had to pay for our own rental cars, our own hotel, food. And then by the time you get home, and then you see the check, it's just, it just was not adding up. And then the whole thing about telling me you're going to do one thing and not doing it, or not even coming close to doing it. And then like my merchandise, they didn't have any merchandise for me. And I'm like, man, I need that extra money. So I found a graphic artist, took all my ideas and designs, everything I'd created myself, took it to the graphics place that put it together for me, took it to Vince's office, had a meeting with him, had a catalog. He looked at each one. He was like, oh, these are great, man. Oh, these are great. Get these down to marketing right away. He popped on them. He was just ready to go. But it took being initiative, the initiative like that, those kind of things, to get the ball rolling on stuff. And I had merchandise within a week, it seemed like. But again, they weren't really going anywhere with me. And so I just looked at it and I'm like, I'm looking at the paychecks. I'm looking at the road schedule. I had to have a shoulder surgery. I had injuries. I had to beg to have time off for my shoulder. They didn't want to give me time off to have my shoulder operated on. I had to go in and knock on the door. Can I at least get, 6, 8, it was supposed to be 10 weeks is what I was supposed to have off to get it recovered. I was back in the ring in 6 weeks. And that still wasn't good enough. And I'm just like, you know what? They just don't give a crap about me, or they're not appreciative of what I'm doing. But I live in Atlanta. I know Eric Bischoff. And so I know I got a place to go, man, And so that's sort of, that was pretty much the end of that.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy, man. And the 14th of the 8th, 1995, on episode of WWF Mania, you defeat Mike Bell in Worcester, Massachusetts, which is, the same, the Memorial Auditorium, just the same place that you had your first Adam Bomb match. So, how did you go about asking for your release? What was that situation like?
It was real easy. I was supposed to be in Boston that night, and I got up that morning and I said, you know what? I'm not going to Boston. I'm going home. So I flew home. And I get a call later that night. This is Vince. Why are you not in Boston? I said, well, if you want me to go down the line of why, and I just started naming off the reasons why. And he knew, and he was doing a lot of guys that way. But I just was not one that was going to stay there and take it. I just decided, I knew that, like I said, I knew that I had another place to go. He was not the only show in town. And I went and signed for 5 times the money.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah, and I wasn't killing myself anymore.
That's it. That's what's sweet about WCW at this point, is because you're not on the road 30 day or 27, 28 days in a row. It's mainly TV. There are some house shows here and there. We still
had house shows, but it wasn't. Yeah, I worked pretty good bit of house shows, but it was nothing like up there.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. So give Eric the call. You get signed the 12th of the 5th, 97. Wrath defeats Scotty Riggs on Nitro at the Baltimore Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. How do you get told, okay, maybe you came up with the name Wrath, the idea, blood runs cold, all that stuff?
Well, the whole blood runs cold thing was Eric's idea, because Eric's a martial artist, and he wanted to do something with a martial arts type theme. But he let us come up with all our names, and I picked Wrath as one of the 7 deadly sins. And so that's how I came up with that. And then they spent a ton of money on that thing, man. A lot of money on the outfits, the intros, and all that stuff. But it just didn't take off, because at the same time as you're getting these guys started, the NWO comes in.
Yeah.
And so it just supersedes everything that we were doing. And we just sort of went down the card a little bit. And everything was NWO, it seemed like. So once that disappeared, I say disappeared, it sort of dissolved, at least in most parts. The guys sort of went their own ways in Blood Runs Cold. And I did too. But I asked Eric, I had a meeting with him, and I said, Eric, I want to keep Wrath. I said, but I want to do it my way. And he said, okay. He said, well, what do you got in mind? I said, well, just if you give me just a little bit of time to work on it. So I worked on my body. I got lean and ripped as much as I could.
Yeah.
I came out with the singlet just like Adam Bomb. I called my finish the Meltdown, which was up over the pump handle slam. That got over huge. Every night I could feel it. I just got on a roll with it. They let me do it. And as soon as it got out there, man, it just started picking up. And each week, every week, boom, 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 boom. And I was just knocking them down. And I went on an undefeated streak for probably 6-7 months. I don't know how long it was.
Yeah, bro. I was going to get to that a little later, but now that you've got there, let's get into that because, like, and I want to say first and foremost, I did really love the Blood Runs Cold angle. I really enjoyed all those matches that you guys had. But
we had some brawlers, man. Against
it was great.
Faces of Fear, man, was a war. I mean, we had some battles, man. Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. Loved every minute of it. But when you get on a roll with this new version of Wrath, 30 wins on television straight. There was a couple of no contests here or there, but that doesn't matter. But 30 wins on TV straight, and you even defeated Van Hammer at one stage, who was on a 10 TV win streak at the time on Thunder on the 22nd of October. So, man, I'm just gonna put you over as hard as I possibly can right now. Every match, all these different moves that you're utilizing. And not every match you're using the same moves every match because you're always throwing something else out there, something else fresh out there. I was like, man, this guy is the complete package. And every week you're setting up for that meltdown. You're popping the arm through. The crowd are going wild. Then you hook the other arm. The crowd get even louder. You pick them up and boom. And when you hit it, the crowd go,
that's it, man. Yeah.
Amazing, bro. Like, and as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, like, this guy is on a hot run right here. This has got to lead to Wrath versus Goldberg at some point. It seemed like the logical scenario, right?
It was. You are 100% correct. That's where it was headed.
Yeah, and another war with Meng at Halloween Havoc.
About that meltdown.
Unbelievable, bro. Over 300 pounds.
Three plus, man. Easy.
Yeah. And it was just fantastic, bro. Tell me, how are you feeling through all of this, the 30 wins on TV straight? Tell me, you're thinking, I've got it. I've got the crowd in the palm of my hand every week. This is the same feeling that you could feel from the crowd when Goldberg was coming up in his streak. But the difference was Goldberg was a spear and a jackhammer whilst Wrath was doing all these different things, which made it stand out even more as far as I'm concerned. Tell me how you were feeling.
Well, you're right, man. Like, I would do that slingshot spinning elbow over the top. I mean, I did so many different things. And it felt great, man. I could feel it as soon as I walked on the stage. I mean, as soon as it was through the curtains and bam, that music kicked in. I had a big part in that music too, with the Van Halen riff, where it started with Van Halen and then it kicks into some other stuff.
Yeah.
I helped put that together. It like I said, I really thought that it was going to go. To me, I thought that we were going to be with Goldberg and Wrath. That's what I was thinking, and I think that's what they were thinking.
That's what I was thinking as a fan watching at the time. Every time your theme song hit, the crowd were like, "Oh, here we go, here we go." So this is the part that really, as a fan, kind of upsets me. It comes to a halt. 23rd of November, 1998. In the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You take the power bomb from Nash, who's obviously facing Goldberg at Starrcade at this point. I remember thinking to myself, like, man, if they just didn't do this, and Goldberg retained at Starrcade, you got Wrath and Goldberg in February or March next year.
Yeah, they rushed it.
It didn't need to happen. You didn't need to lose at this point. Nash didn't need that win. He just won World War III, didn't he? He just won a 60-man battle royal. he didn't need this. What were your thoughts on finding out maybe that day that taking place?
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed. But then again, you can't go undefeated forever. I understand that. But we could have gotten so much more out of that match, and then even out of a program. For a big man, he's 6'10" or so, and for me, at 6'6", I mean, we had a good big man match. I mean, we did a lot of stuff. I did all my high flying stuff.
That bicycle kick you hit on him.
Oh yeah, I even drop kicked him in the mouth, and he's 6'10".
Yeah.
But yeah, there was so much more stuff we could have gotten out of it, and that could have been something. And then, of course, with Bill later, but even later in my career, I would still get to work with Bill, and so just part of the way history went.
The way the cookie crumbled. So, I mean, after this match with Nash, you get another 11 TV wins straight after this. So the push is still continuing. We get to Sold Out 99. You're working with Bigelow, who you've worked with in the past. Obviously, they're trying to build Bigelow for Goldberg Uncensored the following month. So Bigelow does get the win over you here. But again, I just wasn't sure if that's the match everyone really wanted to see. I mean, the Bigelow Goldberg match probably should have already happened by now because he was chasing after him for months on end. So what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I was not happy with the match with Bigelow. I'd worked with Bigelow in WWF at Survivor Series and other places and stuff. But for him to be being paid good money, I always thought you need to show the professionalism to show up and be in shape. And for that match, me personally, being in the ring with him, he blew up, was out of shape, out of breath. Just he wasn't ready. I don't know what the situation was, but I was disappointed in it for the fact that we didn't have the match was okay, but it just wasn't. I didn't like the slow pace of it. I didn't like the pacing of it, and I didn't like his conditioning. And I know I just take that real personal. I think that as a pro, you have to be conditioned. You have to be in shape. These are certain things you have to do. And I just feel like he didn't do it, at least for that particular match. The rest of his career, and I know he did real well in Japan. I'm not speaking on that. I'm just going by what my perception of that match was.
All right. Yeah. I think when he got the win, I took my hat off and I threw it on the ground. I was like so annoyed.
I threw a couple of chairs when I got back in the back. So I threw some stuff. So you weren't the only one.
I definitely want to be getting out of your way if you're.
I was pissed. I was pissed. Not for having to put him over, but I was pissed because of the whole conditioning thing. That's what just I didn't like it.
And it hurts the character of Wrath. Losing a match to a guy who's blown up. Yeah. Maybe the fans wouldn't have noticed because, back then fans weren't as smart as they seem to think they are now, me. There's an injury that takes place in 99. You take on Jerry Flynn in a match on Thunder in Orlando, Florida on the 15th of April, 99. What happened?
Coming off the top rope, which I've done hundreds and hundreds of times. For some reason, something went wrong when I landed. Complete tear of my ACL.
Shit.
And I was out for close to 8 months. And the kicker on top of that is that I had gotten a spot in the movie Gladiator.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was supposed to go to Morocco for 18 weeks and film that. And it never happened.
Shit.
Tell me about it. Every time I see it on TV, I'm just like, you got to be, come on, man, they're killing me. But yeah, I had a spot in that. But again, man, I just take it in stride. You just gotta keep swinging, man. Like I said, I did get to do Mortal Kombat, the TV series. I did get to do that and some commercials, and so I've done some things. I've done a couple of the movies. I did a movie with Burt Reynolds, and I did Axeman 2. I was the lead in that. It was a B movie, a slasher type. Yeah, I've got to do so many things that, injuries are part of it, man. And I've had my fair share. I'm sure there are guys that have had more, some have had less, but it is it's a physical business.
And, we were just talking about, I guess my disappointment in you putting over Bigelow and Nash, but the triumph of putting over Russell Crowe would have been just insurmountable, I think.
Absolutely, man. And that's what I would have been doing, which would have been fine with me, man. That would have been great.
Oh, it would have been awesome, man. Because you really your look at that time, you had this look about you, bro, like a comic book hero or villain come right out of the pages right into real life. The only other person I feel like rivals your look physically with the face and everything, Sid also had that great look as well about him.
I thought you were going to say like I was because I've heard this the other day. It was like I was like the Drew McIntyre 2.0 or something. I heard that the other day. I thought it was pretty funny. I like it. I like his work too.
He's great. He's someone that, he looks good. And that's what I don't like. It's just me. It's just my taste, but I don't like seeing wrestlers that I feel like I could have a chance with. I see Drew McIntyre. I know I could get my ass kicked. That's what I prefer.
And that all goes back to what I was taught from the beginning was about the believability. I don't want to see the postman deliver my mail and walk into the ring and have a match and beat somebody. I'm just not buying it. I want to be able to buy it. You know what I mean? It's got to be believable. I want it to be stiff and snug. If they can't break an egg, get out of the ring. That's just me, man. That goes back to my military, my college football, my powerlifting, all that stuff tied into my my style.
Absolutely, bro. So you finally do get to come back, and this is a really good part of your career right here. Kronik. What a team. Check this shit out. Everyone at home, look at this right here. Look at these two guys right here. Jack's to the gills, looking good. You and your good friend Brian Adams, you guys come back. Whose idea was the name Kronik? I'm getting the reference right there. And tell me a little bit about working with Vince Russo, because it seemed like he really got behind you guys.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we did like a little poll or something with the fans, and that was one of the names that they threw out there. But we knew we could use it, but it was going to be a double meaning, like Kronik, but then we would spin the K, like on the band Korn. You know how they do it? Yeah. So we spelled it Kronik like that, spin the K. And then it could mean chronic beating, chronic pain, and then the other chronic. You know what I mean? So we played both ends of it. But yeah, so we did that. And we came up with our own outfits and designs and everything. I was always have been real good with the graphic arts and the images and stuff, and the barbed wire on the trunks and just all the stuff that we did. And then we had our own hand in our own music. We flew down to Tampa, met with Jimmy Hart. We had Brian did the voiceover for Kronik.
Right. Cool.
And then the Static X music kicks in after that. And so we had a hand in a lot of that, man. Our finisher was a double choke slam, which we call the High Times.
Of course, Kronik.
So yeah, right. But man, I don't know what it was at the timing. I don't know if WCW needed a killer, steamrolling, badass tag team, but we were it. And we just immediately got over. The fans got with it like crazy. It was just, it was amazing how fast we got over. And it was all because of our strength and power and all the big stuff we were doing. And we could work with anybody. Little guy, big guy, didn't matter. We could work with everybody. And our chemistry was instant.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Brian. My name's Brian. He's former military. I'm former military. He's a power lifter. I was a power lifter. He's a boxer. I did a lot of martial arts. We were just like bookends, man. and we got along great. We traveled together everywhere, ate together, work out, on the road together. I mean, just like a brother, man, just like a brother, no doubt.
Absolutely. And when I was watching all this, firstly, I was thinking, where's the Road Warriors? I need to see this. I need to see Kronik and the Road Warriors clash. This would be amazing. But not only that, very happy to see your good friend Bryan Adams finally getting the push that he deserves.
Yeah.
Not being stuck in the NWOB team and putting over whoever was going to be facing Hogan or Nash or whatever. He's actually finally getting to do something, sink his teeth into something that's interesting. Yeah. And let's not talk about the Kiss Demon, because that only lasted maybe one.
Yeah, they pitched that too, by the way. They asked me about that too, and I said no. That's fine.
You knew that it was all right for Dale, but maybe
Dale. But see, Dale's a massive Kiss fan, so he was perfect. He was perfect, and he did a great job with it. So
he did. Yeah. He really did. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, and I hope one day I can finally track him down and interview him, because I thought.
I'm friends with Dale. He's a great guy. Him and his wife Christy. Man, awesome guy. Dale's a real good guy.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Please tell me what it was like working with Vince Russo on all this.
Vince was real supportive. I just had an interview with Vince this week, and we spoke a good hour, and he was just it was like we were just catching up, because he did my first interview. He was a writer at the time, and he did my very first magazine interview back in '93. Wow. Yeah. And so we've known each other forever, but we just hit it off during that interview. He even suggested he really thinks I should do my own podcast. So he's like, man, I'll help you do it. So he was just super great. But he was great helping with Kronik. To go back to your question, he very supportive of it. Put the straps on us twice. Could have put them on us even more. It's just what WCW needed at the time. Yeah, really was that badass tag team, and we were it. There was nobody that could really, as a tag team, that could hang with us. I mean, we carried that program towards the end, and Bischoff even told us in a meeting. He said, "You guys are the only thing that's over out of everything." And I thought, well, man, that's great. I mean, that makes you feel good coming from him, Yeah. I mean, like I said, I wish it would have lasted longer. I really do. But they had the worst thing that ever happened. Yeah, to a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, Bryan and I were not really happy about it. Because I had left Vince and he had left Vince. Bryan left right after Brett left with that whole Montreal screw job. He said, because he was good friends with Brett. We were in no rush to go up there. We probably were off close to a year before they. I think Bryan and Taker were friends also, and so they got us to come up. We signed a 1-year contract, got us to come up there, and it just didn't work out. And it was bad. It was a bad idea. It was bad timing. I suggested us to go on the road for at least a week, knock off some of the rust, get some timing down. They said, no, we want to rush this. We got to have, you do 1 or 2 squash matches, then we're going to put you in pay-per-view. I'm like, that's really stupid, but whatever. It's your company. I'm, or that, or either you're just trying to bury us, which is what I think they were doing. But during that match, and I've said it before, and you can watch the match, you see Kane's elbow was taped up real massive. He had a staph infection. Taker had a blown out shoulder. I had my neck. And Bryan's back was messed up. And they throw us all together in a rush match that did not turn out well. And so after that, they wanted us to they never said it to me, but I guess they said it to Bryan, that Bryan, if he wanted to go down to OVW But me, I was just like, I'm not going to OVW. I mean, I told you what we need to do. We need to go on the road and get some experience and then do it. But anyway, so they decided to take the option of their release, but we still got paid a full contract for that year. And then we finally got to do what I wanted to do, because Bryan wanted to go back to WWE, but I wanted to go to Japan. And so we finally got to do that. And that's where I wanted to end up in All Japan. There's some phenomenal talent over there with Muda, Steve Williams. It just goes on and on the list. But that's where I knew that we would work, and it did.
Right. Yeah. Because I was listening to something that Jim Ross on his podcast was asked by Comrade Thompson about why Kronik didn't work out in the WWE. And he said, we wanted to send them to Les Thatcher and Heartland Wrestling because they needed to work on themselves as a tag team. But the thing is, you should have been put on house. This is all I've got here. You work a TV match against Kai and Taifunaki and Taka Michinoku in Memphis. You work a match at the Sovereign Center in Reading, Pennsylvania against Alpert and Kane on the 22nd of the 9th, 2001. You'd think that you would at least put the team together for 4 or 5 weeks just to get yourselves back together. You haven't been wrestling on television or anything in over a year. You'd think that you would, let's help them get the rust off. You suggest it. No. And then after the fact, it's your fault because you don't want to go to the developmental territory to work on yourself when all you needed was just a couple of matches just to get yourself back together. That pisses me off so much when they talk shit like that, man.
Yeah, and I know. And I just that's why I do these podcasts, to let people at least hear my story, because I was there and I know. I got no reason. I'm not gaining anything from this. I'm just telling you what I did. I suggested house shows to knock off the rust because we'd been off. And they know, no, we're going to do that. Okay, do it your way. And that's what.
You know what? I think the same thing happened to Scott Steiner. That they put him straight on TV, and he hadn't wrestled in 2.5 years or something like that on television. He was waiting for his AOL Time Warner contract to run out. So, of course he's going to need a bit of time to get his footing again. So it's just, every time we interview, especially
very few guys made it. They had already made their mind who we're going to pick. Almost, it was sort of, you could see it. They didn't like us being there, and honestly, I didn't like being there.
Yeah, when we interviewed Alan Funk, he told a really interesting story about how a lot of those WCW guys who weren't brought in for the invasion angle went to Heartland or went to OVW, and they were essentially there to help the people that were already there get better. And then once those people got better, they fired all the WCW guys, and that to me was just cruel. No one got even a chance to be in a dark match. You know what I mean? So it's just, it seems like it's a running theme with a lot of, when I interview a lot of ex-WCW guys. So, but anyway, thank you very much for sharing that and sharing how you thought about all that. I wanted, before I get to my final round of questions where we talk about Japan, I just wanted to ask you about when you found out WCW was bought, and also why you weren't on the final Nitro.
The reason I was on the final Nitro is because I had 30 staples in my head and a concussion.
Okay.
Animal caught me with a steel chair coming through the crowd, and I was at the railing, and he caught me with the rim of the chair.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So I thought someone had thrown a Coke or something at me, a big, one of those big gulps or something,
Right, yeah.
I felt it pouring down me, and I realized I'm bleeding like profusely.
Oh, shit.
And 1-2 steps, I looked at Bryan. Bryan said, "Stay down." I don't really remember anything after that, except I remember Goldberg and Benoit carried me from the ringside to the ambulance. So that's about all I remember.
Right. Holy shit.
Yeah. And then Bryan was out because he had a appendicitis.
Ah, okay.
So
right.
That's why we were both out.
Okay. Now I remember from reading earlier that Bryan had appendicitis right near the end there. Okay, so look, the WWF thing doesn't work out. I personally feel like it could have worked out if they did it the correct way. And I probably would have put you guys against Bradshaw and Farouk, Ron Simmons first before going to Kane and Undertaker. Let them heal up a little bit before you get there. That's just my personal booking ideas, and I'm sticking to it. You finally, okay, your dream is to go to Japan with Kronik. You guys win their tag team championships. I've seen some great pictures of you two. Look like a very proud moment for you guys because, you know, you're proving that you can still do it.
Got him right there.
Bro. Brilliant.
Got him.
You've proven that Kronik is still able to do it, man. And, you know, you've proved that, you know, this WWF thing didn't mean shit. Tell me a little bit about the experience in Japan before I ask my next question about this match with Goldberg and Keiji Muto.
It was everything I thought it would be. It was great. We won the titles in Osaka. I don't know how many thousand people were there, but it was a massive house. And to top it off, one of my favorite all-time wrestlers was Stan Hansen. And to be awarded actually presented the All Japan titles to me and Bryan and handed them to us, that he was there for a special guest for that.
Oh, wow.
And so that, I mean, I got pictures of that all in my office. That meant, that's the top of the mountain for me, man, is to have Stan Hansen put me in that elite group. And if you look at that, the elites that have won the All Japan titles, from the Road Warriors, Gordy, Dr. Death, the Funks, it goes on and on. It's such a massive legacy. And we were the 47th champions of all time in that. I mean, that to me, there's no WWE entertainment title. You know what I mean? This is All Japan, where we knock the shit out of you. This is All Japan World Tag Champions. And that's it for me, man.
Absolutely, bro. That's awesome, bro. And the 19th of January 2003, I remember watching this match many years ago. You and Bryan take on Goldberg and Keiji Muto at the Tokyo Dome. This, from my research, is the last match that you had, the last tag team match Kronik had. Tell me a bit about this match. Did you know it was going to be the last one going in, and what led to your retirement afterward?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be. I had just a massive amount of injuries that were piling up on me, and Bryan had a few. I know some for sure. And so, yeah, it was. We knew it was the last one. I knew it, and I'm almost positive Bryan knew it. But it was just time, man. You get to that point to where it's the end of your career, you know, and you got to know when to say when. And I was glad that I didn't stick around and try to go work independent or go work other places, because I was asked to do other shows, and I turned them down because I had, like I said, I had to have neck surgery. I had to have back surgery. I had to have my knee replaced. I had to have elbow surgery. I had to have shoulder surgery. The list goes on and on. So, you know, it was just always a lot of injuries and stuff, but no doubt that the All Japan titles mean more to me than any other title anywhere. One is that because it was with Bryan. If it was with somebody else, I probably wouldn't say that, but because it was with Bryan, and the fact that Stan Hansen, the legend himself, presented those titles to us, was the top of the mountain, man.
That's the pinnacle, and the pinnacle gets to happen right at the end of your time in pro wrestling. So that's a really nice way to exit something that was obviously a rather large part of your life. Okay, so we go from this triumph. It's time for us to get to this opiate dependency and the legal charges that were false and they were dropped 2 years ago. I want to give you the floor here, Bryan, and tell everyone out there about what happened.
I'll clarify it real quick. I have a great attorney named Richard Jarvis, and he helped me through this whole situation. The charges were all denied, and they are being dropped. When I say are being, as they are going to be dropped 100%. Nothing is going to be charged against me. I never spent a second in jail, and I was handcuffed. I was never arrested. None of that. You know, I just got a lot of bad publicity in a short period of time, and it just was all, again, all false, all unproven, and all being dropped. But COVID hit, and everything dragged through this, just like it dragged through the world and slowed everything down. It slowed down the court system, and so that was just. It was disheartening to have that negative light shine on my career. Not just for me, but for my wife, my family. And so I was just like, you know what? I had been taking pain pills for a while, and I knew that I needed to stop taking them, and I wanted to stop taking them, but I just didn't know how to go about doing it. And then when that happened, the next day, I said, that is it. I said, I am not taking another pain pill come hell or high water. And I stopped cold turkey. Now, my wife is the director of nursing. And so she really watched over me and helped me get through this. But it is not easy. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not advising going cold turkey. But that was just my way. I'm sort of strong-willed, and I was not going to let a pill or wonder when a prescription is going to be filled or anything. I wasn't going to let that control my life anymore. I said, that's it. I've had enough. And so, but it was difficult to stop it because I went through a whole 2 weeks of being sick, nauseous, throwing up, no sleep. I don't think I slept for 2 weeks. I felt like I was back in the military again during combat training, where you don't sleep. You're constantly on guard, you know. It had a flash. It just seemed like a flashback to that. But I didn't get, I might've got 30 minutes sleep here, 15 minutes here occasionally. But I was just, it just took a while for that to get out of my system. And I told my wife the other day, I said, we were talking about it. And I said, do you remember me telling you about how I said, do you smell like the smell of like gasoline? And she goes, no, I don't smell it. I said, that's what I feel and I smell as that opiate stuff is coming out of my system. I said, I don't know if it's me, if it's the way it's made me think. But proudly, over 2 years, I beat it. I'll never do it again, and I'll tell you why. They say never say never. Well, I'm going to say never for the fact that all I got to do is think back to day 10 or day 11 or day 12 of how bad I felt, and that'll do. And I don't even have a craving or nothing. But I've learned to manage my pain by doing other things. Like I told you, weight training and working out have always been in my life, and that has helped me. That helped me through the highs and the lows of my career. And it's always been with me. I've never stopped weight training, cardiovascular work, stretching. This morning, 5 a.m., I'm in the hot tub. I go to the gym, 7, get my workout in, come home, ice packs, proper nutrition. I watch what I eat. I'm just, I have a system and it's working. And so I just want to talk about it and let people know that you can beat it. You do not have to have that pill every 4 hours or every 8 hours or whatever it is, because people see, I'd had so many surgeries and they were prescribing them to me every time. So I'm thinking, well, they're the doctor. They got to be right. I must need to take this pill now. But then when it's time to stop taking them, then you just feel so bad. I mean, I felt like I laid on my couch for like a week. I mean, I had no strength whatsoever. And when I got back to the gym, I was just lifting such pathetic weight. It was just like 5 pounds or something. It was like 10 pounds. It was embarrassing. I was just like, I just keep pushing, man, keep grinding, because that's what I do. Hashtag no days off, man. I just will not quit. And once I got past day like 15, 18, 20, that was rear view mirror, man. There was no looking back. And every day has been great. That cloud has been lifted. Like I said, there's charges and everything is gone. Man, I've been so creative in the last 2 years. Like during the COVID time, I know it was hard for everybody, but for me, I was able to be really creative. I felt like I had my old self back as far as my thinking and all my stuff from my merchandise and that kind of thing. So I've secured two merchandising deals, Pro Wrestling Tees, which is in the US, and they've got at least 10 different Wrath, Atom Bomb, or Kronik shirts. They're coming out with a micro brawler. I signed with a toy company. They're making a new Atom Bomb classic figure. I've also signed with Wrestle Central, Wrestle Merch Central UK, and they have a massive selection, like 2 pages of stuff. And I mean, just some badass stuff. And they're all my designs. So I want you to check them out and look at them, because I'm telling you, I'm not just saying it because it's my stuff, but you'll love them, man. They're really cool stuff.
Awesome, man.
And I spent all that time, man, just all that time working on just being creative, man. My office is like was my little mad scientist room, man. And I was drawing up designs every time I come up with an idea. I don't care if it was the middle of the night, I'd get up like a songwriter. I'd get up in the middle of the night, I'd write this down, and and so that's how I did it. And just like I did with Vince back in '95 when they had no merch for me, I said, I'll get it done. You just wait. And of course, he loved it, and I got it done. But it was, I've had these ideas for a while to do the merchandise. The action figure just sort of happened. They approached me. But yeah, all those things are going really well. I've got appearances coming up in Baltimore, and May 15th. I got June 5th in New York City. I've got Atlanta coming up in later June, Albany, New York coming up. So just, man, it's all good stuff, man. I'm in a great place. I'm physically hurt in the mornings when I wake up. I'm like, oh my God, let me get in the hot tub. I'm so stiff and sore, but it's better than taking a pain pill, man. I'm not, the strongest thing I'll take is a Tylenol, and that's it. Yeah, I'm just so glad to be out of that whole dependency stage. It's just a great feeling, and I just want to. I don't want people to think I'm preaching to them about it, because I just want to let them know that there's another way, and it is so much better if you just do it, man, and try it. It's so much better. You'll feel better. I know it's tough and it's hard to get through those first 15, 20 days or whatever it is, but like I said, there's no looking back, man. Not at all.
Exactly. You get through those 15, 20 days and you get your life back.
Yeah.
And, and I'm so happy to hear that you're really happy with your life right now, and you're feeling healthy, and it's so nice to have like a happy ending kind of story. So thank you so much for sharing all that. I know it's a very personal thing, but you share something like that, it can help someone else. So
and I've got a lot of positive feedback from it. And like I said, I want to plug my sites where people can reach me if they want to talk about it or whatever.
Please do. I know you're on Twitter finally. So
yeah, I know. I just started last month. So please send all your people to me. I'd love it. But it's at Real Bryan Clark on Twitter. And Facebook is Bryan Clark. Then I just opened an eBay store that's going to have some ring-worn gear, one-of-a-kind 8x10s, classic 8x10s, posters, and that's at Bryan Clark, and it'll say Atom Bomb / Kronik. And that's the way you find it under the eBay store. Now, along with this merchandise, I want to pitch in. Earlier, we touched on a name, Tom Fleming.
Fleming, yep.
So I want to just tell you that Tom and I reconnected after '93. After all these years, we reconnected on Facebook. He works for Marvel Comics now. He was really good back then, okay? at his artwork. Now he is phenomenal, and he is working on something for me. And he's already showed me the draft of it, and it was my idea, what I wanted him to do, and he drew it out for me, and it is badass. So I'm telling you, it's going to come in 8x10 shirts, posters, pictures. I'm speechless as to how good it looks.
Awesome,
So,
bro.
Yeah, just want to let you know that Tom Fleming's work is on the way, and that's from official. It's the Marvel Comics. I mean, he's just amazing, man. The talent that he possesses.
And I know that the Marvel franchise is so big now.
Oh,
if they make a movie out of the character, maybe Drew McIntyre can play.
There you go. And I can be his old man.
That would be perfect, right?
Yep. So, are you ready to wrap up? Because I got a special guest for you too. I mentioned that.
Yeah, bro. I have this segment, 5-second frenzy. Did you want to have the special guest come in now?
I can wait. Let's hit the 5 seconds.
Okay, 5-second frenzy. Bryan Clark. This is just some quick fire questions on things that you like in life. Some things are about wrestling, mostly about other things. First question: who was your favorite wrestler of all time?
Oh man, it's up there with Stan Hansen, Paul Orndorff, Randy Savage. Those are the top three that I can think of.
Excellent. Favorite opponent you had over the years?
Wow, man, I've been asked that question before. I loved working with Haku Ming because our styles are just like that. I like working with Goldberg. I feel like I've worked with everybody in my era, Taker and just about everybody. It's hard to just pick one favorite, though, honestly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I know this is another tough one, but this is the last one about wrestling. The favorite match you've ever had?
Oh, wow. WrestleMania 10, Earthquake. That's a joke. Yeah. I don't know, man. Halloween Havoc with Ming, and then some of those tag matches with him, and then all the stuff with Bryan, man. I don't care if it was a squash match or in the Osaka sold out winning the straps. Anything with Bryan was my favorite.
Brilliant. What's your favorite book, Bryan?
Favorite book, man. There's been so many. I read not probably as much as I should. I actually listen more than I should read. It's an old Hemingway, The Old Man in the Sea. That's a good one. But I've also been reading some wrestling books lately. I'm reading Strong Style right now by Scott Norton.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he had me because I know Scott and really pretty good. And so I didn't get to the first chapter without almost laughing and crying so loud. I'm laughing so hard and tears are coming out my face. You know, I messaged him about it. He wrestled a bear, for God's sakes. I mean, you imagine Scott Norton and a bear. Yeah. And he tried to choke the bear out. And then the bear made a comeback and almost killed him. So yeah, it just funny shit like that, you know.
That's amazing. Cool. I definitely want to check that book out. I've been thinking about it for years now.
Yeah. Really...
The next one's your favorite TV show of all time.
As in like comic comedian stuff or anything, or just
any TV show, maybe something that you liked when you were a kid or something you're watching now.
I always catch myself watching this, and I watch it all the time, and I know every damn line to it. I don't know why I watch it, but King of Queens. I watch that all the time. It's at the part of my day where I'm winding down, you know, and it's on, and so I end up watching it. I mean, I'll go through and I'll channel surf to other things. I'm not a big Netflix person. I don't know. I just can't get into some of the series and too much green screen and not enough real act. I love some of the real movies. I like some of Costner's movies are some of my favorite. Jack Nicholson, love almost all of his stuff.
That segues into the next one. What your favorite film is?
Film. Man, I got a few there. I love some comedies like with John Candy, Uncle Buck, which is an all-time classic. I like some of the it's not newer stuff, but like with the Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler, that comedy stuff. But then with Kevin Costner, I love Open Range. I don't know if you ever see that.
I haven't.
You got to check it out, man. It's great.
I'm going to watch it straight after this.
Oh, all right, Open Range.
Okay.
And if you think it's big thumbs down, let me know. But I think you'll like it. Did you ever see Message in a Bottle?
No, I've
Kevin
heard
Costner.
of it.
Check them both out.
Okay, all right. I'm going to make a list.
Just remember both of those. I want your opinion. Just give me your feedback.
I will. And the next one is one I'm really excited about because, Brian, I think you and I might have the same taste in music. Who's your favorite musical artist?
Oh man, dude, I'm a rock man. So, dude, I like me some Van Halen, Foreigner, AC/DC.
Yes.
All that kick-ass shit that I listen to when I work out. As a matter of fact, you mentioned music. That's so funny. I got none other than the Foreigner 4 album cover being sent to me right now, signed by Lou Gramm to me.
Oh, brilliant, dude.
I'll post it for you, man. He sent me the photo of it, the picture of it, and it was in the mail. I'm like, that is badass. Yeah, cool. Man, I gotta have my rock. I love some Fozzy. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I like Fozzy too, bro.
Yeah, man. I'm on that. I'm on that. Some of the newer rock is great too, man. So yeah, I'm I may be a little old school in that rock, but that's what gets me through my workouts, man. I mean, I can't be listening to some garbage when I'm trying to train, man.
You need to be listening to a bit of Motley Crue, a bit of Guns N' Roses, a bit of Rat, a bit of Cinderella.
Every bit of it. Cinderella's lead singer has a new song out too.
Oh, Tom Kiefer, love him.
Yeah, The Death of Me. That's it.
Excellent. I have to check it out. Yeah. I really liked his solo album that he brought out a few years ago.
I'll make sure y'all send it to you. You will love it. The video is awesome too, by the way.
Awesome. There's only 5 more. Favorite food?
Oh man, I love sushi. I love seafood. I'm from Florida. I live in Arizona, so it makes no sense. I'm out in the desert, so there's no oceans, nowhere. So I'm not getting really good seafood. My family lives right on the coast, the Gulf of Mexico. So every time I'm home, that's all I have. Or even when I go back, like I'm going to Baltimore in May, and I'll be having crab and crab cake. It works. So seafood is my favorite by far. Yeah.
Delicious. Favorite place to eat on the road?
Oh man, I've ate at some great places, and I've ate at some horrible places. And the old standbys when you're one of the last matches and the arena's closed and you're in a Waffle House in the middle of the night or something. Man, that's a tough one. I've ate at some great restaurants, and there's such a variety there. I can't pick one.
That's cool, bro. We do get Waffle House. We get Cracker Barrel a lot too. So quite a few. I don't know if you're much of a drinker or were much of a drinker. This question is usually, what is your favorite alcoholic beverage? But if you're not a drinker, just your favorite beverage in general.
When I drink, I'll have red wine. I like the red wine. Yep.
A couple things we've got in common there.
Easy. Yep. I mean, it relaxes you for the night. You sleep well. It's just easy.
Yep, I agree. Second last one.
Even though I plug Kronik, I'm not a smoker. Hey, I'm all cool with the smokers. 419, you got a minute for 420. I understand. That's also in the new merchandise, by the way. I'm sending you all this stuff, man. You're gonna get it.
I can't wait. Second last one, Brian, is the naughtiest one of 5 Second Frenzy. What is your favorite female body part?
I thought you were gonna ask me, like, do I like fat chicks or something? But that's a good one. That's a good question, man. I've never been asked that part. what is my favorite female body part? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we've had a variety of answers. Let's just say that.
Okay. All right. I like that combination of the tight downstairs and the tight upstairs. You know what I mean? I like it both, man.
I understand exactly.
I like it. In other words, my girl is in the gym working out. That's what I'm saying.
Excellent. So, it kind of reminds me of the answer Nikita Koloff gave us, and he says he likes the shape of a woman. I really like that answer. It's that's a very good answer.
That is a good answer. Yeah, I'm all about the fitness and the girl working out, and 100%. Absolutely. If she sits at home and wants to eat a bag of Doritos every night, she needs to hit the road.
Absolutely. And the last one for 5 second frenzy, Bryan, is your favorite curse word.
Oh man, I throw the son of a bitch around a lot. The MFer.
Yeah.
Just depends on how pissed off I get, I guess.
Cool, bro. Well, that's the end of 5 second frenzy. You said you have a special guest you wanted to.
Yeah, well, during COVID, we had the 2 years off. And during that time, I had a little girl.
Oh, yeah, amazing.
And she's 1 year old. And I want to bring her on and let you see her.
Yeah, cool, man.
All right. Okay. Come on here, baby.
Oh, isn't she gorgeous?
Look at that little girl. Look at that baby. Her name is Skylar. And she's a Scottish Sheltie. She loves to do this where I can't breathe. Okay. All right. Okay, go back to mama.
She's almost as hairy as her dad.
Oh, yeah, almost. Still rocking it, brother. So yeah.
Awesome, bro.
Did I get you on that?
You got me, bro. I thought you were gonna bring out a baby there, but it was a fur. It was a fur baby instead.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan Clark, I really want to thank you for your time tonight. Tonight, my time, daytime for you, but this has been so fun for me. Obviously, look, I mean, I've soldiered to the gills right here, talking about how much of a fan I've been of you, and to have the conversation with you is just means a lot to me. And I know I've told you this before, but Perth, Western Australia is the most isolated city in the world. And I know that my circle of friends were watching you as Wrath back in the day, huge fans of Wrath. So to know that in the most isolated city in the world, that you had a group of like teenage dudes just pumped up to see you every week, I just want to say we appreciate, everything that you accomplished in the wrestling business, my friend.
Hey, man, and that's great. Much love to you guys. That is awesome. I mean, I really, truly, sincerely appreciate that. That's great, especially like you telling me Perth is, I've never been to Perth, but it's just being the most isolated place in the world, and for me to be able to reach some people, that's just great. And then for you to reach out to me finally to get me on your show. I thought you were from California the whole time, man. I'm like, man, I said I can talk to this guy anytime. I got a million things to do. So you threw me off forever. That
sorry, bro. It's my stage name. I sing.
Yeah, I know that's your working name. I got it.
I sing in a rock band, so Carl doesn't sound as cool as Karlifornia. So, all
right. Well, it works, man. It's good.
Well, thank you again, Bryan. Really appreciate your time again, sir.
All right, man. We'll be in touch, and you stay in touch with me, and I'll stay in touch with you, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good, bro. Thank you very much. Right. And thank you to everyone out there for watching the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network. I'm your host, Karlifornia Infirri, and we will see you next time. Thank you.